be a category. People couldn't differentiate between science fiction and science fact because it was separated, right? It was just like, here's this book. Oh, this is cool and interesting. Um, spurred the development of a secret society known as the Vril Society. The Vril still exists. They're now in America. We literally take everyone's garbage, all the matter is up here somewhere, right? Somewhere in the backwoods, you can find the Vril Society. And they're unique from the societies because they involved women. Women were welcome into the society. Adolf Hitler and Brody were all members as well. But why would one and only secret society welcome women as members? Why do you think they would do that? Yes.
Because only men can't produce children. You need women to have.
So you're at least in the right ballpark. It's not so much making babies as it is about orgies and sex magic. Yeah. Apparently, sex magic is better when you have, men and women. Apparently. So I know this sounds ridiculous, but this is what they believe, right? So women, well, because Vrilia was something they believed they could channel through sex magic. And okay. All right. Vrilia is the energy that Jesus Christ used to water into wine and to make bread and fish appear out of thin air. In other words, it's an energy that, with my power combined, I am going to manifest a loaf of bread on that chair, right? Right. They know it as Christ level consciousness, right? So there are four, depending on the cult you're in, there are 4 or 5 levels of consciousness, each associated with. I screwed up. I've already lost you. Who cares at this point? Look, just because it's insane to you doesn't mean people just firmly believe it. That's the problem, right? I used to think that Santa Claus was a terrorist. It turns out Santa Claus isn't real. That begs more questions than answers. Anyways. So, if you're on the first level consciousness, you're an animal, right? Animals are first level. Second level, that's normal people. Third level is Jesus Christ level. You can make bread appear out of nothing. And then fourth level, I'm going to stop there just because it'll get redundant. You can literally manifest anything that exists. It's just a thinking. So imagine I'm thinking a new Lambo. Yay. Right? Because I manifest it with my mind, it can manifest in real life. But in essence, no, I won't go. You might as well. Okay, fine. But you asked for it, and just know, I'm not saying I believe any of this, but the connection here is what matters. I founded a company, manifested something that never existed before into existence by my mind, and I did it a medium. The medium is not Vrilia, as the power is called. It's called cash, money, right? So money is the energy that can make things happen and create things out of nothing, right? So on our second level tier of consciousness, we actually do have the power to create things out of nothing, which is a godlike power. See where this is going? But we're lowercase g's, right? We're lowercase gods. God, the creator, we're lower, right? So we can manifest things like God can, but not to that degree. Jesus was a level above that, right? So Jesus could, but whatever that means. And then above that, they can literally manifest everything. Shoot, I need a bagel right now. There it is, right? I need a bagel with cream cheese. Now there's, right? I need a bagel that can also fly, right? Yeah. Imagine we could all. I've seen the internet. It would be crazy. Anyways, point, right? Oh, apparently there's another thing where the higher consciousness levels that you reach, the total for some reason. I don't know. I'm over 6 feet, so where do I stack up there? I'm not sure. Straight, still down here, level 2. Rude. Anyway, the point then they believed is what the Aryan race was. Let me be clear, there are no German Aryans. That was never a thing that was made up. There are no Aryan Germans. Total fantasy. Lie, in other words. But, Himmler had created something, right? So he helps create the myth of the German Aryan. They don't exist. A tribe in Scandinavia The end. Well, okay, there were also Persians. And so if there is an Aryan, go to Iran. You can look it up. Or Persian Square in LA, like, what is it? Assalam? No, wait, that's Arabic. Dang. My Farsi is escaping me at the moment. All I can tell them is show, which means shut up. But anyways, my point is you can say, hey, look, in Aryan, right? It's not homogeneous, to be honest. That never worked. In fact, the Germans don't even exist. It's an artificial creation of its own right because nationalism is a long story. But anyways, the point is these belief systems then combined with belief systems that were formed out of England and the United States, and that's this thing, right? Eugenics, by the way, it's not dead. This is still a thing. It's just called something else. It's been updated because out of eugenics you got the two branches of transhumanism, right? Which, if you don't know what that is, there are two schools. One is the bionic one, right? Merging humans with machines. Elon Musk. Um, and then the others are the CRISPR babies, right? I.e., you genetically engineered human beings. This is a very bad idea. Transhumanism is not a good idea, but it's coming. In fact, we can already do it. I don't know if you know about the AIDS babies in China. They're like immune to AIDS, right? Which is pretty metal, but like, if you think it's gonna stop there, you, as a billionaire, can now genetically select all the aspects of your DNA and splice it with anyone else's DNA because the government has, for at least 100 years, taken samples of DNA from every child born on US and put into a massive database along with their blood type. Now, why on earth do you think they're? Because again, these Nazi ideas of the super being, the super race, right? First of all, it's a little bit Jesus. Second, we brought those assholes here. That's just the public face. You don't know, like, there was one of the Nazi scientists that were filtering news in, I think it was Roosevelt, was brought to the US under Operation Paperclip. And a victim was walking down the street minding his own business in New York and was like, you got it, shit. That's the guy. That guy tortured me. And so the US government was like, bro, we can't keep you. You gotta go back to Germany. By the way, he tortured thousands of people. And got away with it. Yeah.
Wasn't a lot of Nazi ideology also influenced by the KKK in the United States?
So the Ku Klux Klan, there's kind of a. Okay, hold on. I have to take a step back because I have to define left and right first. If you think left and right is communism, fascism, Republican, no, that's a it's a new left and right politically. Classically speaking, left and right is like hardcore communism, then Nazism, and then like socialism, well, fascism, and then socialism. It's all way, way far, far left. Anarchism, and then that libertarian. They are classically speaking far right? Because in this context, far right means less government in a nutshell. Right? Far left means more government programs, social programs, etc. Anarchy, right? An is without, and archy is this ruler, right? So anarchy without ruler, and then anyways, the point is Stalin that said fascists were far right, but he's correct in the sense that if communism's here, fascism's to the right of it, right? Barely, but like they're essentially the same thing because while the Nazis used racial measures, right, to create a new Aryan super, the Soviets did it as a political human creation known as the New Socialist Man. It evolved, yeah, you can still say that. I would say it devolved, but it evolved to Homo Sovieticus, right? If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's we'll tell you what, we'll get to that when we talk about communism, because Germany did that because we just do everything stupid, but we do it very well. We do stupid very well in Germany. The eugenics component is the other. Right? This is what informed the Holocaust later on. In fact, the Holocaust is pretty much the end goal of eugenics. Eugenics ends in mass death. What eugenics ultimately is the idea that natural selection is a problem, right? Charles Darwin, one of the merchants of life in the 1800s, when he published The Origins of the Species, he wrote that through selection, the strong move into the future by reproducing. The weak fall by the wayside, die out, and then their DNA dies. Their lineage dies, right? That's what he's all like super antsy about that kind of stuff. But anyways, so the British sociologist was like, I know, survival of the fittest. Human beings and human civilizations. So he brought that idea into the human domain. So being rationally is the key term. The Nazis tried this by literally using their Aryan declaration nonsense to weed out undesirable elements. And then they just branded, they started with mentally and physically challenged people, including Hitler's own niece. She was murdered in one of his clinics. They did this informed the T4 program, which let me be entirely clear what that is. T4 is where they decided to sterilize and murder people with mental and physical disabilities. And this praxis was from the United States and England. In fact, David frickin' Rockefeller, may he rest in hell, he funded the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, which was set up under Kaiser Wilhelm II during World War I. Right? It's now known as the Max Planck Institute. It still exists, and it's the Munich office I despise because they represent this. Yes, they took U.S. and California eugenic laws and translated it into German word for word, so that all of Hitler's eugenic policies are actually British and American. To be clear, right? The merchants of light went to Germany, the heart of the beast, and they sold them eugenics, and the Nazis loved it, and they were so efficient at it that they were killing men, women, children, left and right, right? And then the next logical step is, well, oh, but you know, Poles are inferior, Slavs are inferior, obviously the Jews are inferior, right? And they're at the bottom of that totem, right? So then they're like, oh, well, let's implement this now for our racial categories, our racial caste system, if you will. And then they start, but it wouldn't have ended there, by the way. The Nazis actually started this going to war, and or it would have continued. They had plans to murder 6 million Germans. Why? Because they wanted to see all Germans that were hurt or injured or maimed by the war itself, psychologically too, to be wiped off the map. So they've sent medical doctors to the frontline hospital, the field hospitals, mind you. The buildings, them too. But they sent men and women to the field hospitals, and they went around and checked names, checked beds. It's like, oh, this guy's really, really screwed. And they gave them lethal children right then and there, so that they could use the cover of having been a casualty of combat to get away with that murder, right? Same thing with the Jews. World War II on the Eastern Front was the cover used to massacre women, children, the elderly. And boy, did they. And you ask yourself, why? First step first. Ask yourself, am I capable? If you're honest, you will say it depends. Maybe. Would you go up right now and say, hey, class, I want you to go to this where everyone is? You'd be like, yeah, sure. No, obviously not, right? But if the circumstances were correct, I think you would be capable of doing some very evil things. Me too.
So this is like back to something you said a couple minutes ago, but you were like talking about how in some way Germans aren't real,
Yes.
but that made you and me if we're not German.
Fictions. Sorry, let me rephrase. We represent legal fiction. Germany, as such, never existed. You had hundreds of kingdoms and fiefdoms that made up the area known as They were all different clans and tribes. Then they looked at Rome and said, gee, well, there's that. Let's do that. Since the tribal model didn't work, they switched over to the Roman model. If you've ever been to Berlin, you still see this Greco-Roman neoclassical architecture everywhere. That's because in the last 500 years, it was declining. The Germans were like, well, this whole clan thing isn't working. Let's do. So the term Kaiser was literally ripped from the Roman, the Italian, Caesar, right? So the emperor of Germany became Caesar of a new Rome in the north. What it really was Sparta, which was a military-style dictatorship with a single leader at the very, very top. And it was a royal, right? So all the other royal families are really, you know what the little royal families are? I'll tell you what they are. It's just like Afghanistan. They're tribal elders that became warlords that then said, yeah, this is now my little fiefdom. I'm going to hire knights to patrol my realm, and serfs are going to stay serfs. Right? So it was really easy for them to maintain their power with a few knights because the weapon systems at the time were knights. They were complicated. They were like the new at the time because it was hard to be a knight. You didn't need many of them as long as you wanted to maintain control over your realm. Winning a war is another matter, but I'm not going to get into that right now. The invention of the pike and the firearm and the ability to mass produce them and lower the cost of said firearms in Europe is why Western ideas, Enlightenment, etc., started in England and France and then spread out from there, right? So from that context, to answer your question, the Germans had to make a myth of themselves because the power elite realized that they were going to lose control of their kingdoms and fiefdoms. So to adjust with the changing of the times, Germany kind of stagnated, right? England took 1,000 years to become a liberal democracy, only for it to go down the drain again. But, well, that's another story. Anyway, my point is, in France, it took the French Revolution to literally murder the elite. In Germany, they didn't because the elite was tied to the military and therefore basically safe. So they developed a dual track economy. One is traditional landed elites, basically the Junkers, what they call them, and the other the new industrial magnates. The new industrial magnates were not like the traditional elite. So to mitigate the loss of their own power, the Germans decided, you know what, we need to consolidate. We need to bring people together. So the nationalists became the vector through which they spread the idea, you're not a North Rhine-Westphaler. Sorry. Using, anyway. You are. Right? So the German national anthem, Deutschland über alles in der Welt, right? That one? It looks as Germany, everything over everything in the world. It has nothing to do with fascism. It has everything to do with, hey, you and your local squabbles, you and your local dialects, small. Think big. Germany is over everything. Forget your little disagreements between the Principality of Hanover and Hessen. Forget that. It doesn't matter. Come together under the umbrella of nationalism. That's how they did it. So the myth of the German is, well, there is no German Germanic tribes. So they use the label Germanic, Germanen, Deutsche, and use that as a title for themselves to create the nation that we now recognize as Germany. But it's fake. It's all make-believe. Everything I'm describing is make-believe. This is make-believe. Why is this make-believe? Well, the only reason this works is because we all agree on this. We agree on our goals. We've been socialized into this. But I couldn't do this if you didn't want to be here. There would be no class without you. I'm replacing you, on the other hand. Right? But there would be a different class then, because it's a different person, right? Make sense? But we create all these things to make this as real to you as possible. And part of that involves the institution. But these institutions have what we call institutional knowledge. That makes them much older than any one of us. Even combined. Combine all our ages, we're still not old. So that brings me to my next point. How do you get people to become willing executioners? You have, with a job, a horizon of expectations. So I and you, right? If we say you as a student, say it's a job, just to keep it simple. And I have a job, literally, right? my horizon of expectations for this job is that I'm going to stand in front of a bunch of people and lecture about specific according to what the course title and description is, right? So I'm here to lecture about things German, because German 101, right? And we do some grammar in a little way. I also have, as part of my horizon, a requirement to grade things. So I give tests. See how that works? You, as students, have a set expectations, as in doing the things that I ask you to do. So I become an authority, but I'm just some guy, right? I don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm just some guy. Honestly, right? Doesn't matter. Point remains, we've created a fictional setting for this. We went so far that we designed the architecture of the room to make whoever's in front of it seem legit. Right? It's all reinforcement. It's all make believe, right? It's make believe too. I wear it so I look less like a student because I sometimes get in trouble with faculty. Long story. I got full. I have more stories like, hey, students are not allowed to be here. I'm like, yeah, I know. Students aren't allowed to be here. I know. Hey, students are not allowed to be here. You're a student. I'm like, oh, am I a student? I didn't really tell me. What am I a student of? What's my major? What? Oh, I don't know you, but you look like a student. I'm like, well, aren't you? I tore into that guy so hard. I didn't even mean to. I wasn't actually offending him. I was just like, I'm gonna make you feel bad. I just looked bad. I don't know. Bad.
And who was this guy?
Well, I'd love to tell you, but he didn't give me his name. And I'd also love to tell you because, well, frankly, he's gone. So I'd love to tell you who he is. So you can look at his Rate My Professor and be like, anyways, right? Back to life. So, oh, we're out of time. Oh, no. Sort of class here. If you want, I'll finish the thought. Okay? You are not required to stay because it is time to go. But if you are interested, then we'll keep.
I have another one.
I
Son, I can already get this replaced for you, man.
yes. Okay, so just to kind of bring this to conclusion and then I swear. So honestly, much better when we have longer, a little longer. Germany fundamentally did not learn its lessons from World War II. The expectation thing I'm referring to has to do with the police. The police have a horizon of expectation. Their expectations are that they will probably arrest people, they will probably deal with people who are physically violent, and they will probably end up dealing with people that are rowdy and within that context, they have firearms to defend themselves, right? If they feel threatened, they have the legal cover to shoot to kill, right? Usually they injure rather than kill, at least the German police does. So, horizon of expectation. If you now include new criminal categories like, oh, I don't know, the Jew as a whole, within the context of being a police officer, I now think, like, oh, okay, well, there's criminals, XYZ kind of criminals, predators, and then I guess Jews are criminals now. We are now going to process anyone that is a Jew and identified as such as now literally a person. Which means now, because of who you are now by default a criminal, and the police will treat you as such. So all you have to do is move the window to the point where it's like, that's not a woman, that's not a child, a dangerous threat to my racial community. They must be eliminated or they will come by children in the future. See how that goes?
That's really
So you can spiral this thing into genocide. And this was the legal, the scientific rationalization of all of that. All this other stuff is fluff. It's fluff to rationalize and make you and the public, the general public, accept the exertion of government force, no matter who's in charge. Right? So when you hear, oh, crude and bad, well, yeah. But you think we're better? You think our leaders are like, benevolent and they'll take care of you? Last time I checked, FEMA got out money, and so they're only going to give people who think $750 as a one-time payment. Really? Are you freaking kidding me? I like Paul just on their behalf. Like, just don't even help them, But don't block people from trying what they're also doing, by the way. Sorry, I'm a little. I read an article this morning. But anyways, if you'd like, you're more than welcome to do the next study. I will handle it for you because this is technically like 81 years old. But thank you. I hope this was interesting. There's more, but I want to keep this in my phone. So thank you. If you have your homework, I'll collect that now. Meantime,